Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, Cody's Auto Diagnostics. So my last video that I did, I mentioned how my shop uses the DVI, the Digital Video Inspection. So I had some guys reach out to me asking some questions about the system and what it's all about. So I figured that I would do a video kind of showing what I document in the DVI process when it comes to diagnostics. So this first video series today, I'm going to be going through some screenshots, some health reports and everything that I print up that the customer ends up seeing on their DVI report. So what this does, it just brings, if they're coming in for a diagnostics with a check engine light, ABS, whatever it may be, they're seeing the full health report of their vehicle, the full scan. They are seeing scope captures, screenshots of scope captures or scan data showing the issue, and then also showing the fix, so the before and the after. Now this is something that you can do. I have a Bluetooth printer, but this is something that you can do even if you're not doing a DVI. And what this does, it covers your ass. CYA. So customer comes back with, let's say, you fixed a check engine light for a P0171 for a lien code. It comes back a couple weeks later with a check engine light, let's say for another code. Well, you have the documentation showing I fixed this issue. Well, now you have another issue. So this is a separate diagnostic fee, or you either fixed it or you didn't. But it's bringing value to the customer. It's showing them what they're paying for on their diagnostic fee. So that being said, I got some not case studies, but some vehicles I kind of want to go over. We'll go through the health reports, print ups and everything that I print up from my wireless printer, and these get added to the inspection report, like I said, that the customer gets to see. So they get to see that it's what the issue is, and the kind of the tooling and the knowledge that's involved to fix these vehicles. It's not just plugging in a scan tool and it tells you what it is. That's a misconception, and it's unfortunate, but it only takes a couple shops out here to kind of devalue the whole industry. So yeah, that being said, we'll get moved into it. So all right, stay tuned. Alright guys, as you can see here, I got a 3-ring binder, and let's just go ahead and open this thing up. This right here is a diagnostic worksheet. This is kind of just a generic one that I have that has the customer's concern, diagnostic test process, test results, recommendations, and then other comments. I am in the process of categorizing my health reports from, like I said, this is kind of a work in progress, but this is something that I'm up to. I'm open for more suggestions, some ideas or whatever that you guys are doing. The first set is vehicle documents. I also have some case studies. Those are some of the vehicles and stuff we'll go over, screenshots and scope captures and stuff that I have right now. I also have my flagged hours documented, and Pico battery tests in a separate category, and the flashing data. All right guys, so first vehicle here, we have a 2014 Jeep Patriot 2.0. This is the full health report that gets printed up and gets attached to the DVI system. So this DVI system, this gets sent to the customer so they get to see their full health report and what codes are in all their modules. So every vehicle that comes in that has a check engine light, ABS light, airbag light gets a full health report. So this is complete transparency to the customer that when it came in, it had a P2110 for electronic throttle control system. Also had some codes in the airbag module for battery voltage. Also had some codes in the TIPM for the central gateway, HVAC unit, and steering angle sensor, and for the cluster. We're not worried about any of these other codes right now. This vehicle came in with a check engine light and they needed to go through emissions. So what we were focused on at this moment is the electronic throttle control system. So my initial test was in the scan tool doing the electronic throttle control follower test, running the test. And what this test does, it allows me to have the key on, engine off. I'm able to press the accelerator pedal down to the floor and release it, and what that does, that also opens up the electronic throttle blade. Normally the blade will not open with the key on, engine off on this vehicle anyway, so you have to go in for the run test. So this is me pressing the throttle down to the floor, it's opening up the throttle blade, and here's me releasing it, coming back down. And as you can see here, we have a dropout. Come down some more, we have another dropout. That right there, seeing that, I immediately go to the throttle, the throttle body. Taking off the intake boot, disconnecting the electrical connector for the throttle body, and manually opening the throttle body, I was able to feel the gears binding inside the throttle body. So this was not a smooth movement of the throttle blades, which the way to fix this is to replace the actual throttle, the throttle body itself. Okay, so this one was pretty easy. Didn't take too long. After replacing the throttle body. Now, a couple things I want to point out here. Obviously, I have more stuff graphed, but I am doing the same follower test, but this time I am graphing the APP, the accelerator pedal position 2, the accelerator pedal position 1, and here is the throttle blade position. Okay, so this is down to the floor, this is releasing it, this is going back up. And as you can see, with the new throttle body installed, there's no dropouts here. But you guys are probably wondering, what's this over here? What are these dropouts on the APP? Because that's not something that we saw originally, because like I said, I wasn't graphing this. This vehicle is fixed, but this is something I would say you guys need to be mindful of, because this right here, these dropouts on this APP2, this is normal. Okay, what the PCM is doing right here is doing a circuit check. And if you can see, they are spaced out evenly. So this is not a bad APP. This is good. This is the logic inside the computer checking this signal, double checking this signal. Or actually triple checking this signal, because it also has the APP1. So something to be mindful of here, guys. This is not an issue. Not every vehicle is gonna do this, but it's something to be to keep in the back of your mind, so you don't go down a rabbit hole thinking that there's an issue with the APP, when in reality it's not. Okay, that's the first vehicle. Second vehicle. We have, second vehicle, we have 2007 Toyota FJ Cruiser. This vehicle comes in with a P0333 NOx sensor 2 circuit high input, bank 2. And you can see there's some codes in the ABS and stuff too for the engine control system. This code is in the ABS because it detected that there's a PCM code. Alright, so there's that. And I'm not sure how good this is going to show up on camera, but this is my borescope up underneath the intake. Down underneath the intake, and you can see this wire. Here's the NOx sensor connector, here's the wire, it's chewed. So this picture here was added to the digital video inspection to show the customer that we need to pull the intake. Well, if anybody's done NOx sensors on one of these, they say you need to pull the heads and everything else, which you don't. But we needed to get the intake removed and everything else to replace this harness. Okay, pretty easy, but the customer knows that this is an issue. You know, he's not just taking our word for it. He gets to see firsthand that, you know, the repairs needed to keep this check engine light off. Pretty simple. But this is good documentation. Like I said, this is CYA. This is covering your ass. You know, this is clearly the issue. We ended up taking care of that for the customer, got that fixed, and the customer was happy. Now on to the next one. Okay, next vehicle, we have a 2015 Mercedes-Benz. This customer came in for having a light on the dash, saying that the battery was bad. I can't remember exactly what the light said, but anyway, this is the full health report. We have codes in the ABS, electronic seat adjustment, air conditioning, central gateway. Not focused on any of that. Going through the health report, we can see for the SAM module, the buffer battery has a malfunction. The limit value for resistance has been exceeded. It's a current and stored code. Okay, so the diagnostics on this one is to actually go, there's no way to test this battery except to go in with your scan tool. And so here is a picture of this, the scan data, and you can see the internal resistance of the component for that battery is 2,550. The range shouldn't be more than 300. This battery is bad and needs replacement. But after replacement of the battery was 210 compared to the 2,550. So this is below the spec of what it needs, and this needed a battery. So the customer got to see the before and after of why this vehicle needed the battery, and that in fact, you know, this battery took care of this issue. Next, we have a 2007 Dodge Ram 5.7 liter. Again, pre-scan of the vehicle. This vehicle came in with a check engine light. It had P013A O2 sensor, bank 1 sensor 2 slow response rich to lean, P0133 O2 sensor, bank 1 sensor 1 slow response, and then P1521 incorrect engine oil type. And amplifier has some codes, central gateway. The instrument cluster also has a code. We're not worried about any of those. He came in for the check engine light to get repaired. Here is another pre-scan of the same vehicle. This is after doing some tests on it and everything else. This is another code that popped up for, which is the P2096 downstream fuel trim system lean. So this truck kept setting O2 sensor codes all over the place. Pretty much all O2 sensor codes that there is available for this vehicle. This vehicle pretty much ate my lunch in the diagnostic process. And so as you can see here, we have the short-term fuel trims, and we have bank 2 sensor 1, bank 1 sensor 2, bank 1 sensor 1, and bank 2 sensor 2. Now if you can see this, Chrysler does their O2 sensors a little bit differently, so the voltage is going to be different, but if you can see bank 2 sensor 1, how it is switching. Okay, now if you go to bank 1 sensor 1, this sensor should also be switching from about 3.3 down to 2.6 like this one's achieving. Well, you can see a couple times it tries, but it stays high. It does not move. Thing is, pulling a vacuum hose or enriching the mixture with propane, the O2 sensor moved. it performed the way it should be. So at first look, it looked, you know, from the scan capture, it looks like it needs an O2 sensor, which it didn't. I mean, this vehicle, I went round and round with this vehicle. Fuel trims were good. I mean, this thing, this thing gave me a run for my money. So after I found there was exhaust leaks on this bank from an aftermarket cat that got installed, where they welded it in, and there was an exhaust leak in next to the pre-cat O2 sensor. So we fixed the exhaust leak, retested it, and still was not switching. Okay, so after going round and round, I mean, I ended up swapping O2 sensors from, you know, bank 2 sensor 1 to bank 1 sensor 1, same results. Kept going around and round with this thing. This took way longer than it should have, but it ended up being, I mean, I was exhausted with how the vehicle was acting. The vehicle ran beautiful. Was not acting like this O2 sensor was not switching. After lots of tests and test drives and everything else, I ended up going in and looking at the PCM calibration ID. So going in, seeing what flash or which file was in the PCM, and going to Chrysler service information, this had the most current calibration in it. Well, that's a bummer. That's a bummer. So long story short, after a bunch of tests and everything else, it just wasn't adding up. To me, it was looking like the PCM was not commanding this O2 sensor to go rich and lean, was not able to make it switch. So it looked like it was a PCM issue, and I was almost ready to pull the trigger on the PCM, and I figured I was going to try one last thing. And since it already had the latest calibration file in the computer, I took a shot in the dark, and I ended up flashing the vehicle with the same calibration ID. So it doesn't have a new calibration, it doesn't have an update for it, but I flashed it with the same file that was originally in there. Flashing it with the same file, surprisingly, started making the O2 sensors switch. The bank 1 sensor 1, as you can see here, bank 1 sensor 1 O2 sensor, it is now switching beautifully down to 2.58 up to 3.4, which is the full range of what bank 2 sensor 1 was doing. I have honestly never seen this before, flashing a vehicle with the same calibration and it actually fixing something. So I don't know if this customer, the vehicle was new to him, so I don't know if the previous customer of this vehicle ended up having a programmer or anything in it, or some aftermarket files that I'm honestly just not sure. But this was something that ate my lunch, and you know, if this can benefit one person out there to not spend as much time on a vehicle like I did on this one, then so be it. So this did not need a PCM replacement, it just needed it programmed again with the same file. Crazy. It's not something you typically see, but it obviously took care of this vehicle. Alright, this is a full health report. This is with the Autel scan tool. Okay, and this is a 2004 Volkswagen Golf. The VIN, okay, shows here we have one fault in the engine control module. All these modules passed. 6 faults in the central module comfort system. 6 faults in the radio. We're not worried about anything else. This is a vehicle, again, that needed to get through emissions, and they were worried about just the check engine light. So it is, the code is 16705, which is for the ignition distributor engine speed range performance. Right off the bat, I start thinking, okay, engine speed, is this going to be a camshaft sensor issue? Is this going to be a crankshaft sensor issue? You know, that's that's originally what comes to mind when I see that code on the Volkswagens. So doing some digging, here is the test, my diagnostic worksheet. Came in for a no start, crank no start, had to jump battery to get started. Notice battery fuse box wire is getting hot. Now this is the wire that goes to the alternator, and Hans Jorgensen, he's a trained by tech guy, and he works on lots of Volkswagens, so he sees this stuff all the time, and it's something I'm starting to see more and more. Here is the Pico battery test, and it shows here that the battery has failed. It's charging at 67%. So this thing ended up needing a battery, but the main issue that was causing that code was it had a bad fuel pump. So you can see here is the fuel pump amperage of 8.1 amps, fuel pump voltage here, and here is the fuel pump waveform. It's at 4100 RPMs, and this waveform just looks like garbage. Okay, so this thing needed, customer opted not to fix it, but it needs a fuel pump, it needs a battery, but then I also noted, here is the thermal imager. You can see the temperature of this alternator wire. So it needs this fuse block with this wire replaced that goes to the alternator. So this vehicle had multiple issues. So again, this needed the fuse block, needs the wire, needed a battery, and also needed a fuel pump. But all this documentation, sending it to the customer, seeing a list of all of these things that this vehicle needs could sound like we're just throwing parts at it. Well, this is proof in the pudding right here. This wire is bad. This fuse block is bad. Scope capture definitely shows this fuel pump is garbage. I mean, that's no good. I ended up also checking the camshaft and crankshaft signals. I ended up not printing that up, but that is something that I did verify as well. Let's go on to the next one. This is a 2015 Ford Flex. Again, health report. Came in for a check engine light, had to get through emissions again. Okay, so it came in with a P0456 for an evap leak, very small leak detected. P1450, unable to bleed up fuel tank vacuum. P2196, O2 signal biased, stuck rich. P2198, O2 signal biased, stuck rich as well. So it's got lots of codes in here, but I am telling you right now, all these codes were fixed from one component, and that component, let's see here, here we are looking at scan data. So we have the short-term fuel trims, we have the long-term fuel trims. Notice these are a little high. You can notice the short-term at this point here, negative 4.5, negative 3.3. Well, before it dropped down over here, it was at a short term of 10%. So 10% plus the 8%, we're looking at 18% that the computer's trying to correct. Why did this drop down right here? Well, it dropped down right there from me plugging, this is the evap purge valve. This purge valve was stuck open, as you can see here, which is sure kind of hard to see for you guys, but this is my vacuum gauge hooked up to this purge valve. And with it, this connector disconnected, hooked up to it, it is pulling vacuum. It should not be pulling vacuum. It's normally stuck closed purge valve. So it should not be pulling anything onto the system when it's not getting commanded on. So this purge valve was stuck open, which is pulling vapors through the charcoal canister and causing the O2 sensors to be biased, to be stuck rich, showing a rich condition. And this purge valve took care of all those engine codes. Okay, so something simple like that can cause multiple codes. I mean, I've seen purge valves cause rich conditions. I've also seen purge valve cause lean conditions. It all depends on how much fuel vapor is in that charcoal canister. So just because this is open, it's not always a rich condition. It can also be a lean condition, right, PJ? PJ knows what I'm talking about. 2008 Volvo XC90 came in with a check engine light. Again, had to get through emissions. So has a couple codes in the system, has a P0190 fuel rail pressure sensor, has a P0420 catalyst system efficiency below threshold. Okay, so those are the main concerns. Obviously, it's a Volvo and it's got codes in just about every single module. This is the scan tool capture of me on my test drive, and as you can see, here is the fuel rail pressure sensor. So I'm checking the fuel rail pressure sensor, and as you can see over here, it's probably about 55 psi running, goes up and down a little bit, spikes a little bit here over 60, then next thing you know, it goes up to 131 psi and then drops back down. This is a bad sensor. This sensor was reporting the wrong fuel pressure. Okay, so it definitely needs a fuel rail pressure sensor on this. But it also had the P0420, which is the CAT code. And as we can see here, this is a test drive. We have the rear O2 sensor bank 1, rear O2 sensor bank 2, front O2 lambda bank 2, bank 1. Front O2 sensors are working, our air fuel sensors are working, they are doing what they are supposed to be doing. But if you look, it set the code for the bank 1 O2 P0420 that the CAT is bad. This O2 sensor is switching. This should not be switching. This CAT is nice and hot. This is after a long test drive. This should be a flat line about 800 millivolts. It should not be switching the way it is. The PCM is coding for P0420. But if you notice over here on the bank 2 rear O2 sensor, it's doing the same thing. It is switching. Now when you let off the throttle, you can see it does store more oxygen than it did over on the other CAT, on the bank 1 CAT. Stays rich longer, but then after it depletes from the oxygen, it starts switching again. So here's the thing, definitely needs a bank 1 CAT, but it also needs a bank 2 CAT. And this is a situation that if we just put one CAT in here, the vehicle would have been back eventually for the check engine light that was on again, and it would have been a P0430 for a bank 2 CAT. So this is something that, you know, this needed both catalytic converter assemblies, not just the one, in order to keep that light off. This customer opted not to fix it, CATs and everything else alone. I mean, it was, with all the work that was needed, it was going to be up about $4 grand. Customer did not want to fix it at that time, so I don't have any after scan tool captures. Next vehicle, we have a 2007 Saturn Ion. Okay, it came in for a P0016 crankshaft position, intake camshaft position correlation. So it's got codes for the cam crank correlation. This is a vehicle, this does not have the variable valve timing. Okay, so we are not worried. This doesn't have the variable valve timing with the solenoids that go bad. Okay, so first thing I wanted to do was get a scope capture of the cam and crank correlation. Again, this picture was also added to the vehicle inspection, so the customer gets to see. So I tried to give as much information as I can on these scope captures that the customer can understand. The customer is not going to be able to see a scope capture like this and understand kind of what's going on. So like I said, I tried to put as much information as I can for the customer. So this is a known good vehicle. This is a known good cam crank correlation waveform. And I take the falling edge of the crankshaft right here and I put my cursor. Falling edge over here, again, I put my 720 degree cursor. So 720 degrees. And what I'm doing, I take my next cursor over and I'm putting it on the falling edge of the camshaft. And if you look, it's 61.23 degrees. Okay, here is the actual vehicle. Doing the same thing, cursor here, and I'm doing the falling edge of the camshaft again, and it's 34.23 degrees. So it's almost half what the known good, what the spec is supposed to be. If you look at this cursor here, this is the 61.23 degrees. This is where, right here, where this falling edge for the camshaft should be. It should be right there. So you can see that it's out of time. So this is another vehicle. Customer opted not to fix it. They did not have the money, whatever it may be, but they got to see that we need to go in and look at the timing chains. Like I said, this is not variable valve timing, so I'm not worried about the gear sprockets, the actuators, the solenoids, anything like that. This is, I wish we would have been able to fix this because I really wanted to see what was going on. Either the chain has jumped or the tensioner and guides are completely, worn out, and it's causing the variance in the cam timing. This vehicle ran like crap, and this is a vehicle that needed the timing cover removed to, and I'm sure it needed a complete timing chain kit. So, like I said, customer opted not to fix this, but they get all these print-ups. Alright guys, so that's how I document some of the stuff for the DVIs. Obviously this is the first video, and it's a lot of check engine lights and diagnostics and stuff on that, of the information that gets provided to the customer as far as that transparency. The next video I will go into the actual DVI system, show you guys how that works as far as the inspection process of that, how to attach these files to the DVI system, and kind of what the customer, you'll get to see what the customer report looks like that gets sent to the customer via email or through text message or whatever. I have my 3 different laptops that I'm using. I have multiple scan tools that I may be using for the repair. So it's nice just to put all that information and collapse it into one report that's printed up that I can refer back to if I needed to. But like I said, just like that Dodge Ram, for example, that thing ate my lunch. But the customer got documentation showing, like, look, we did this, still didn't fix it. It had an exhaust leak. We fixed the exhaust leak, still didn't switch it. Still setting codes, now it's setting different codes. We showed him the whole process of, look, this thing was not normal. And this was a truck that the customer had it for 2 years. He went to the dealership, they replaced all 4 oxygen sensors. 3 days later, the light came back on. He's military, he got transferred out, so he no longer could go to that dealership. so he just left it. He didn't need to go through emissions for a couple years, so he left the light on. Obviously the 4 O2 sensors did not fix it. So that was a good one. That was one that, you know, it really really had to make you think, watch scan data, just, you know, racking my head on all kinds of things that it could be, and it looked like it needed a PCM. So I took a shot in the dark and updated it. Customer saw all that information. One thing that was not in that report that you guys saw was the calibration, the before and the after. It was the same calibration, but he saw, you know, I updated it, and that took care of his issue. So that file had to have been corrupted somehow. Not sure how. Not sure how it got corrupted, but it was. And after updating it, O2 sensor was working. Long story of the short, man. Document as much as you can, especially if you guys are doing diagnostics or anything else. It's nice to save files, save screenshots, save scope captures, just save all this stuff, whether it be, you know, you're saving it on your laptop or printing it up and putting it all into a folder that you guys can refer back to at any time. Eventually I'll have that folder categorized a little bit more as far as these are the vehicles that had throttle body, you know, issues and the scope captures, and then these are the vehicles that needed an update and what the updates fixed, to fuel trim issues. You know, eventually this book will be, as I get more information and everything else, it'll be even broke down that much farther. The wireless printing is awesome. I mean, I really do enjoy that. That's not something you have to do, because the digital video inspection, you take the picture with your tablet or with your phone and it gets sent to the customer. So that's not, you know, that's an extra step that I take for my records. It's not something you have to do, but it's nice. I mean, I know some really good techs out there that document their whole process, and it makes it nice because they can go back at any time and go through this information. And another thing, so this COVID-19, I really hope each and every one of you are staying healthy, staying busy. Unfortunately, this really sucks what's going on. Not just for the automotive industry, but just the economy in general. Unfortunately, this is really going to weed out a lot of struggling shops out there, and I hate to say that. I mean, if there's shops that are barely getting by before all this crap happened, I just don't see them making it after, when this is all said and done. I mean, this is putting a hurt on a lot of people, and a lot of employers, to a lot of employees, to just a lot of guys in general. And, you know, I really hope everybody's doing good out there. You know, we're gonna get through this. Just gotta stay positive and everything. And, you know, it's unfortunate, and it really sucks. You know, I pray to God, you know, none of you guys get this crap that's going on. And like I said, I hope you and your families are doing good. I don't know what more to say. I really wasn't taking this COVID-19 seriously until just a couple weeks ago, and you know, it really puts things in perspective. And you know, yeah, I mean, we can have a whole video just on this alone, but you know, like I said, I just do what you guys need to do, and you know, get through this, move on, you know, move up, and just continue pushing forward. That's all we can do as technicians. We're essential, which it is what it is. You know, but you know, so yeah, guys, hey, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching. Like I said, second video we'll be actually going into the DVI software and, you know, showing you guys how to take pictures, how to just use this system. It's really not bad once you get the hang of it, and it's nice. But again, even if you're not using a DVI, you can do your own inspections and document and save it. And you know, the good technicians out there are going to be saving all their information. I know there's, you know, from Super Mario Diagnostics, Mario, he saves all of his scope captures. It's just little stuff like that you can refer back to if you have another vehicle kind of acting the same, or just to learn from. I mean, it's nice to go back and sometimes you miss stuff, you know. So it's good. Save as much information as you can with this technology in the digital era. You know, it makes it easy. You know, you're not having to handwrite everything. My inspections before at my other company would be lists and pages, and it, man, just from every single nut and bolt to the vehicle. You know, my inspections, I feel that are on point. I really, you know, I take pride in my inspections, and it's our job as technicians to thoroughly inspect a vehicle. The DVI makes it that way. You can't skip things. You know, it asks how is the serpentine belt. You physically have to look at it. If it's bad, take a picture of it. Customer gets to see that. It helps sell tickets. It really does. I mean, it's good software, and there's a bunch of different companies out there that are doing these DVIs. There's a bunch of different companies providing the DVI, so there's not just one company. What we use at Borst is the AutoServe. There's pros and cons to a lot of companies out there, but having any kind of DVI is better than no DVI at all. So yeah, more videos to come about this, and we'll go a little bit more in depth. This basically was just a video on, you know, just documenting your diagnostic process. And, you know, yes, there's stuff missing out of here. This is, you know, there's some scan tool captures that I could have gotten afterwards to show the before and after that I don't have printed up, but they got provided to the customer. So, and that's just me not having time every single time to do that, or to document, you know, every single thing. But I really try. You know, I really want to show the customer the value of why they're paying for the diagnostic fee and what they're getting out of it, and the knowledge that comes behind it. You can't, it's like I said, it's not plugging in a scan tool and it tells you what it is. And if there is a scan tool out there that does that, tell me, because I would love to have it. But anybody that works on cars knows it's not that easy. So there's a lot of education involved and stuff like that. And that's what I'm trying to translate to the customers, trying to show them it's not as easy, it's not cut and dry. You know, if showing scan tool captures like that Saturn Ion that needed the timing cover, you know, removed, it's telling the customer, look, this is where we're at. We have to go further. We have to pull this timing cover to see what's going on. It's not a guess. It's the scope captures don't lie. There's something going on under that timing cover, and you need to pull the cover to see. So it gives the customer just a peace of mind. It's that transparency. It's nice. But yeah, guys, stay happy, stay healthy. We're all gonna get through this together. One big community. Have a good one, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next one.